Hello everyone, this is RWBY12 here at RWBY Studios and RWBY12 Plays, and today we are returning to Summer Rose Court. Quick shout out to one individual in my comment section. I didn't actually realize that the person whose comment is appearing on the screen right now, apparently she's a developer for Summer Rose Court, and I am very honored and appreciative that you've decided to check out my playthrough. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope I'm doing what I hope I'm doing your work justice, basically. I'm thoroughly enjoying this alternative take on RWBY, and hopefully you guys are enjoying listening to me play it. So yeah, thank you for the well wishes, and I'm actually kind of excited as to see what your quote-unquote favorite part of this game is, because you did mention that I was almost there, or almost to one of your favorite parts, so I'm looking forward to getting there. I imagine we're probably getting there today, so let's do a little bit of a recap. In the last episode, Glynda took us on a bit of a tour of the city, which was, I mean, the marketplace was absolutely fantastic and bustling with activity, but there was another area called the menagerie, which was a little less so. Ultimately, basically, the menagerie is basically like the alienage from Dragon Age, in that all the faunas have basically been forced in there, and I keep saying basically, I'm sorry. All the faunas keep getting forced into these menageries and are more or less thrown away from the public eye, and it kind of broke Ruby's heart, and it broke my heart too. So that's an issue we're going to have to deal with. Another issue that potentially we're going to have to deal with is Roman Torchwick, who appeared and was very, very, very ostentatious. Oh dear God, like, I almost have nightmares as to I can't tell, and I don't mean this as disrespectful in any way, shape, or form. This is just a pure observation. I can't tell if he's supposed to be a pimp, a drag queen, or some combination of the two, but he definitely has styles that could be either or. He definitely seems more pimp than drag queen, but there was a mention of the fact that he's rocking heels that would put Ruby to shame. So I don't know. He's whew. As Ruby's put it, that's a lot to take in. Yeah, so after we met him and found out what he was doing, which he more or less monitors trade going in and out of the city, we spoke with Ozpin and learned a lot of history and a lot of things that are going wrong that unfortunately Ozpin couldn't deal with while he was sort of shackled to the throne. But now Ruby's here, and Ruby is earnestly trying to figure out what she can do to improve the city and the people's lives in the city. So, yeah, we're gonna find out exactly what we can do. He also mentioned, and I'm really confused about this, he mentioned the fact that we can open portals to go to other realms, but doing so might kill Ruby. However, he did say in a very direct fashion that we have to do it, despite the fact him saying, oh no, we don't have to do it. So I'm getting crossed, like my wires are getting crossed. I feel like the messages may need to be elaborated a little bit on. Obviously, we're going to need to go to these other realms, and obviously it's probably going to kill at least one person in this game. I don't think it's going to kill Ruby. That'd kind of end the game, but who knows? You know, maybe there's a choice that will end up with Ruby dying. I don't know. I feel like this is a game that could have potential bad endings. So yeah, so we found out about the realms, and we found out about all that stuff. So I guess now we're going to see where we're going to progress. Obviously, our next step is to build a council, and they showed off a lot of characters which are very familiar in a variety of different ways. So let's see if we meet them. Without further ado, let's get started.
Night falls over the kingdom, the sky inky black and empty without even the crumbling moon to light the way. The moment I allow myself to relax after my long and trying day, the exhaustion hits me harder than a punch to the gut. The bed I collapse in is my own, the same that I had 7 years ago. It smells like dust and age, but mostly it reminds me of my mother. I still remember the perfume she wore, sweet rose water mixing with the fresh linen of her dress, crisp and clean. The oil in her armor's joints.
I don't like this. I am not in my happy place right now.
The heavy, gray feeling that lingers in the air just before a rainstorm. Burying my head into the pillows, I try to remember that the bed is still far too big for just one person. I always was lonely in there. Still, sleep doesn't come easy. The nightmares are only getting worse. Traveling with Glynda took a lot out of me, riding hard during the day and barely getting any sleep at night. I'd hoped being back in my childhood home would ease them somewhat, but it doesn't look likely. Every time I feel like I might relax long enough to slip into unconsciousness, a sudden jab of anxiety pierces through me, and I stay awake for another hour, staring at the ceiling. It's almost as if someone doesn't want me to sleep. It must be my body's sense of self-preservation. Even when I want to sleep, the fear of what awaits me keeps me alert.
Whew! The imagery in this game, I don't care what anybody says about the art style, the imagery in this game can be somewhat unsettling. Like this, right here, this just brings me nightmares. Anybody who's played the game Try to Fall Asleep, this just reminds me of like the werewolf thing that appears in that game.
Eventually I succumb. The dreams begin again, as I knew they would, but this night they were far more terrible than ever. Blood, as always, dripping from claws in the moonlight, razor grins slicing through the darkness. Somewhere, a grim moans and shrieks, inhuman and alien. And something new, a muted roaring, dull and insistent and terrifying. After a while, the nightmare ends, leaving me in darkness with nothing but a vague sense of unease.
I don't like this. Ah! The hell was that? No. None of that. Shame on you. Alright, so we're entering Act 2, Part 2, huh? Some familiar faces are popping up here. I don't know what this is. I mean, that looks like a scythe. Clearly, it's a scythe. Alright, let's see what happens.
Good morning, Your Majesty. I trust you're ready for the day? Not wanting to disclose to Glynda the strange things that I've been seeing last night, I simply nod, trying not to look as weary as I feel. Yeah. Excellent. I have a few things to run by you today before we make our way to the portals. My peers have been made aware of your arrival and are expecting you today. You mean the wizards? Do all of them live outside the castle like you? Yes. We try to keep ourselves removed from the daily struggles and machinations of the Rose Court. We work in conjunction with the throne, not under it. Maintaining a healthy distance is one of the many ways we try to reinforce that fact. Yeah. There used to always be a court wizard who served as a liaison between the two. However, the last one died in the same attack that took the Rose Monarchs. The position has been empty ever since. So it isn't your job? At this point, it is, but only by the barest of technicalities. The previous wizard was my mentor. I'm fulfilling his duties out of respect to him and out of my loyalty to Lord Ozpin. But, back to business. We furnished your room with a larger desk to accommodate some of the maps that you and I will be going over later. Yeah. And finally, there still remains the issue of some of the lesson plans I have to draw up for you. Don't think that just because you were out in the desert, that means that I'll forgive you for not practicing the runes, young lady. Yeah. You were supposed to be hiding your identity, not letting the strength of your young mind slip away into the sands. Yeah, what? Are you just agreeing with everything I say? Are you even listening to me, Rose? Yeah? Unbelievable. Geez, what do you want? For me to disagree? I'm trying to play along here. Your speech is vulgar and low class. No doubt picked up from that Xiaolong girl. You cannot afford to be so casual with every person you meet, Rose. Is it just, like, really difficult for you to speak to people without slipping into an insult or two?
Oh. The rose has some thorns.
And shouldn't you be using a more royal title for me? At first, I might have. But in the brief time I've come to know you, Rose, I'm wondering if taking a rougher approach is the better way to command your attention. I won't scrape and bow to every whim you have just because of your bloodline. I've seen many roses wilt before their time. You'll need to work harder than that to convince me that you're worthy of the years I spent searching for you. Okay, fine. I don't want to argue over this. I didn't mean to upset you, Lady Goodwitch. I just had a really rough night, and I'm on edge. Suddenly pausing, Glynda bites back whatever sharp thing she was about to say to instead fix me with a piercing glare. Rough in what manner? You do look tired. Something shifts in her demeanor. Almost incalculable. Did anything interrupt your sleep, Rose? The stern image relaxes, replaced by a flicker of concern. Nightmares, by any chance? No. I'm fine. Just tired. Just like that, her turn stiffens, a hard edge entering her words again. I'm about to be very frank with you, Your Majesty. Are you ever anything else? I hold no love for the Summer Rose Court. Not for the families too busy to plotting against each other to notice that this plane is falling apart. Not for your sordid politics. Whatever sick magic is in your blood that allows you to sit on the throne with no ill effects hold no interest of me. But Crow believes in the power of the Rose lineage, and Ozpin believed in Crow. He continues to suffer daily and risk his life for Crow's ideals. So, for their sake, I'll be patient with you, and trust you not to lie to me again when I ask you this. What disturbed your sleep last night, Ruby Rose? Opening my mouth to respond, I choke on the words, a cold sweat building in the back of my neck. I never spoke about my nightmares, not to anyone except Yang. Stubbornly clenching my jaw shut, I slink lower into the chair, feeling sullen and rebellious. No one in my life has ever spoken to me in this way. Keeping secrets, I see. You're worse than the old fool himself. It's just nightmares. I don't want to talk about it. Breaking off whatever Glynda was about to say next, the doors of the throne room open wide. A familiar, uneven gait makes my ears prick up. I find myself sitting straighter on the throne.
It would be in your best interest to answer your question, Ruby Rose.
Lord Ozpin! Good morning. Glynda is less pleased by his arrival, face pinching up worse than ever.
Ozpin,
You're supposed to be resting. Are you determined to die from overexertion? I won't mourn you if you manage to pass away through sheer stupidity. Hearing your gentle voice whisper such words of encouragement gives me the strength to face the day, my lady. She rolls her eyes, lips pressed thinly together. Don't worry about me, Glynda. I'm not broken just yet. More importantly, if Miss Rose here is already getting the dreams, we'll have to reschedule a few matters. Already? The nightmares aren't new. I've been getting them ever since I was a little girl. If they're important, didn't Crow ever tell you? He was the one who took care of me in the nights when they were really bad. A glance is shared between the two, something in their years of experience together allowing them to communicate without words. He failed to mention this, yes. Hello! What? What? Say what? That, if the, oh wow! Oh, wow! Damn! Damn, Daniel! Your lover failed to mention a lot of things, such as where and why he decided to hide the only person capable of sitting on that throne without dying. For 7 years. We've been over this before, Glynda. Whoever let those Grimm into the castle that night had to have been someone inside the Summer Rose Court itself. No one else would have been able to lead the Horde into the throne room. Everyone is suspect. No one can be trusted. Not even me. He trusted you enough to leave you on that cursed chair, though, didn't he? To leave us on our own to rally the troops and rout the enemy without a word of warning. Steel enters her voice. It's punctuated by the loud crack of his cane as he jabs it down on the throne floor. It echoes in the empty room. Glynda, enough. I haven't known Ozpin for very long, but hearing him raise his voice is an unwelcome shock. Glynda, too, seems a little subdued, though not at all cowed. Rose? Yes? The nightmares. I look at Ozpin for affirmation. He gives me a tight nod. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to keep them from you. I just didn't want to... To burden us? To sound crazy! Try us. With all her rough edges and harsh words, Glynda is not the easiest person to trust, even if she did save my life twice. But I can see that she's trying. From day one, all she's ever done is try to help me. The least I can do in return is trust her. Taking a deep breath, I hold it for a few seconds, organizing my thoughts. Then I tell them everything. The nightmares are usually about Grimm attacks. They're always different. I can't predict what will happen. I'm always scared I'll never wake up. I've been having them for as long as I can remember. They spiked the night my parents died. That was putting it mildly. I had tried so hard to push the memory of that night far down, deep down, to where I'd never have to look at it again. Coming back to Beacon meant remembering a lot more than just how to be a ruler groomed for succession. Before that, I was lucky to get 2 or 3 a year. Living in the desert, it became more like 2 or 3 a month. And ever since I left, every night, it's been hard to sleep. So at least on a subconscious level, you've already been attempting to attune with Crescent Rose. I quirk my head to the side, the name striking a familiar chord within me, though I can't place where I've heard it before. So wait, do my nightmares have something to do with, the protection magic? The one that Ozpin used to keep the plane safe? Is that why you guys wanted to know about them? They aren't nightmares, Ruby. They're visions. Crescent Rose is a powerful tool locked within the throne itself and tied to whoever dares rest upon it. I get up quickly, glancing over my shoulder to look at the seat of the throne, as if it might bite. With time, I can help you train to master it. What is it exactly? Can I see the future? Nothing so useful. The things, the visions, they're always so vivid. But I never thought that they were real. I just thought I was broken or sick. They are real. Everything you saw was actually happening at that very moment. That is just one of the many powers of Crescent Rose. Its connection to the entirety of the plane, your kingdom, your territory. As a technical usurper to the throne, my abilities were limited to little more than being a warning sign. I can feel, more or less, when and where the grim attacks were happening. Sometimes, I can prevent a tragedy. And I can keep them out of the city. But you, Ruby, a full-blooded Rose? The kind of power you're already wielding far outstrips anything even your parents accomplished. You should have only become attuned to the throne once the coronation was complete. If you were already tapping into Crescent Rose to scope the perimeters of your kingdom... He trails off. Lost in thought. We need to begin training at once. If you don't get a handle on these powers soon, I'm not sure what might happen. My parents and Crow, they knew about this too? Yes. Crow would often tell me how intense it could be to wield Crescent Rose. The monarchs would often become trapped on the throne for weeks at a time as they used Crescent Rose to protect their plane. I remember how Ozpin looked the first time I met him, chained to the chair like a prisoner. To become one with the ley lines mapped across the land, it can take a terrible toll on the body, more so if you aren't a Rose. I was hoping we'd have more time before you started seeing these things, that I could ease you into it. The lines on his face deepen, eyes closed. Exhaustion weighs on him, heavy, iron woven into the ends of his robes. It's such a terrible burden, Ruby. And I didn't want to overwhelm you. So this is what it means to be a Rose. As far as inheritance goes, I really could have used something less traumatic. As a Rose, yes. And as a ruler. It's a complex issue, Ruby. And a delicate one. But please, try not to be angry with your parents, or Crow. I know if you were my daughter, I would have withheld the truth from you for as long as I could. Personally, I would have begun preparing her for it the moment she got her first nightmare. How is keeping her in the dark any better than arming her with the truth? Most people aren't prepared to tell a small child that their nightmares are real. That was something that hadn't quite sunk in yet. Every time I'd seen a Grim kill someone in a dream, every terrible slaughter I'd seen, I thought it was just a sick, twisted part of my imagination. It was really happening. All of it. Maybe sensing my distress, Ozpin lowers his gaze to me, sounding gentle. Are you alright, Ruby? I know this is a lot to take in. I'll deal with it. Other than seeing things that are happening somewhere else, what kind of powers does Crescent Rose afford me? At their peak, your parents were able to quell a horde simply by sitting on the throne and willing it. Though again, it was hazardous to their health. That's why Crow find it hard to believe that a mere pack of Grim slaughtered them that night. Yang and I have walked the walls of the castle a few times as well. I look around the throne room, chillingly aware for the first time that this is where it happened. My parents had died right here. I don't even know how they managed to get in this far. Nor I. As for Crescent Rose's potential, The way it manifests in each new monarch is unique to the individual. You may develop a power we can't even begin to predict. And I can control when I see things? Can I make the nightmares stop? In time, yes, with a lot of meditation, and a lot of physical training as well. Magic is a tricky thing. You will always be connected to Crescent Rose by virtue of your bloodline. The coronation simply solidified it. So, the nightmares may never truly stop, but at the very least, we can probably get you back to only 1 or 2 a year. I can live with that. When do we start? Tonight. And every night after. Though, for the rest of the day, we do have other duties to attend to. We still need to contact the other planes. So, you mean, even if I learn how to use Crescent Rose, we still need other people's help? Can't I wiggle my fingers and make the land fight for me or something? It's not quite that simple. Crescent Rose's more destructive powers are a last measure against the darkness. Trust me, RWBY. You don't want to know what it feels like to have all that power flowing through you. Uncomfortably, I wonder if I should tell him I already do know. When I attuned myself to the throne the first day back at the castle, and let the throne taste my blood, I had felt it, like channeling lightning through my body. It actually felt kinda good. So, shall we be off? Though, I would understand if you would want to spend the rest of the day alone or learning of Crescent Rose. What do you want to do, RWBY? I am quick saving because I feel like that is like a cue to possibly open up different branches. Yep. I feel like knowing more about Crescent Rose might be a good idea, but opening a portal to another plane could potentially help me start building allies faster.
A few moments later.
You know what? Cancel that. Before I bring anybody into my plane, I kind of want to know more about myself. So we're going to stay in the castle and learn more about Crescent Rose. Even through the thick layers of woolen cotton, I feel cold. I know this might sound cowardly, but I don't want to open a portal today. I'd like some time alone to process this. And later tonight, we can talk more about Crescent Rose and what it all means. Of course. That's a perfect description of the face that she's making right now. Though she doesn't say anything, Glynda sucks in her cheeks to prevent an outright scowl, eyelid visibly twitching. She probably is going to scold me later for not stepping up to the challenge. But this is all too much to take in at once. Excusing myself, I exit the throne room and close the doors behind me. Resting against them for a second, I close my eyes, take a deep breath, and count to 10. I've been dragged around for too long. Even if it's just for today, I'm not going to follow anyone's schedule except my own. What should I do now? Ooh, even more options. Let's go to the library. Let's see what we can learn about ourselves. Unlike other parts of the castle, where pages and servants rush around on their daily tasks, the library is more restricted. A castle guard stands on duty in the front of the heavy doors. One of our people, I'm glad to note. Every time I see a soldier with Torchwick's symbol on his chest, I get nervous. The guard nods at me and I enter the room. This is a good place to hang around when I need silence, but not to feel too cooped up. Like I would in my own room. I enjoy the hushed atmosphere. I remember being here as a child when my mother read out loud to me. The librarian at the time had always been strict with me, and while I resented it at the time, I sort of understand now. When I ran a hand along the spine of the nearest book, I see the binding shiver with magic. Each and every tome has been carefully enchanted to prevent aging and damage, but even that hasn't been enough to protect some of the older ones I spot. Those are locked behind glass and key.
Remember what Glynda had said about forgetting my runes? I searched for a primer on the subject when a loud noise crashes through the library. Your Majesty!
Hello there!
A man rushes up to me, shaking my hand furiously. At first, I can't place him, but as he starts to talk, I feel recognition blooming in the back of my mind. Master Oobleck!
Ah, if it isn't the prodigal queen returning to our old hunting grounds! I must say, it's quite the pleasure to know that you're still alive and healthy after all these years, young lady. A lot of us have been starting to give up hope. You do remember me, don't you, dear girl? Though it has been a while, so I understand if you don't.
As if I could forget a personality as big as that! Master Oobleck, it's good to see you too!
Oh, and I do apologize for not being at the coronation. I had a few important experiments that needed my constant supervision lest they go awry.
He gasps!
He gads! That reminds me!
Looking stricken and pale, he zips around in a flutter of paper and semblance. In his wake, the wind kicks up around me. Just as quick, he returns with a stack of books, nearly as tall as he is.
Never mind, all is well. Nearly forgot to put the timer on these latest batch. While I was out, though, I did remember that Lady Goodwitch requires me to give you the required reading for the year, so here you are.
Without another word of warning, he tries to dump the entire pile in my arms.
Given that you've been somewhat out of practice after so many years away, I of course offer my services as a tutor, as I did when you were younger, Queen Rubilla.
Putting the book aside on the nearest flat surface, I throw up both hands to try and get him to quiet down. Ah! Stop! He stops, looking at me expectantly. Just, Ruby is fine, Master. I insist. The librarian pauses for a solid 4 seconds longer than I've ever recalled seeing him stay still. I can almost see the calculations running behind his spectacles.
Very well! Fine by me. Fewer syllables too. Very efficient. So, what can I do to help with?
Well, now that I'm here, would it be possible to take a look at some records of early history of the plane?
Of course, my dear. Anything more specific?
Anything about Crescent Rose? Anything about how the Rose lineage started? How we claimed rulership? If we have anything on that, that would be great. His glasses gleam with sudden intensity.
A hefty request, though not an unusual one. To understand which direction the tree grows, one must discover how the root lies. You always were such a smart young lady. I truly look forward to working with you more in the future, and if you need anything at all— oh god, there she is again! How many times tonight?
Blinking in surprise at the non sequitur, I take a moment to realize Oobleck isn't even talking to me anymore. He speeds over to the window, overlooking the courtyard outside, a scowl darkening his face.
I've told her once, I've told her 1,000 times not to try coming in unescorted. Those ruffians will look for any excuse to bother her.
Rumbling under his breath, he unlatches the window and pokes his head outside. Down below, I can faintly hear the sounds of an argument, most of it getting carried away by the wind. How did he manage to hear that? It's so faint, even now. Joining him, I take a glance down myself. Oh! That girl!
You know her?
Sort of. I saw her at the menagerie. She seemed like she knew me. Does she live in the castle?
No, she comes and goes as she pleases. Usually.
Louder, he shouts down to try and get her attention.
Hey, you there! Yes, hello! Please, allow Miss Belladonna through to the doors. I am in need of her assistance. Hello! Hello!
The argument below continues. Just as intense, it seems they can't hear Oobleck over the winds either. Straightening out, he adjusts the spectacles so that they aren't sliding down his nose.
Oh, curses! If you'll excuse me, Lady Ruby, I have to make sure that Miss Belladonna isn't arrested again.
As soon as I blink, he's gone. When I look outside, he's joining the pair of guards harassing the Faunus woman.
I wasn't expecting to meet Blake right now.
Curious about what's going on, I follow Oobleck down the stairs and into the courtyard. The librarian is deep in debate with two of the guards. Drawn by the commotion, a few more appear, all of them looking tense.
And I'm telling you that Miss Belladonna is bringing me invaluable data that I need for my research. Research that benefits the entire kingdom, mind you. You can yell all you like, that doesn't change the law. No visitors are allowed, further than this point, especially ones who have no business being here.
The librarian looks ready to tear his hair out.
She does have business here. Are you listening? I've been living here longer than you've been alive. I know the young lady, and I trust her. She's been in the castle countless times and never once caused any trouble. I can vouch for that. Listen, we all have...
She casts a derisive
Oh, that was a female. Oops.
She casts a derisive eye over to the faunus.
I guess I would adjust my voice.
We all have friends we want to be able to invite inside.
If you want the cat sniffing around here so badly, you need signed approval from the manager of trade proving that she has legitimate cause to be here.
Looking at a sheet of paper, the guard taps on it with a free hand.
And not a shoddy forgery like the one that she has stuffed in her pocket.
The faunus woman, silent until now, speaks up.
It's not a forgery. Torchwick signed that himself. I watched him do it.
Sure you did.
I doubt someone like you knows what the manager of trade even looks like, much less his signature.
Oh, of course. How silly of me.
You're right. Why would I need to know what my boss's signature looks like? Just quit while you're ahead.
Are you calling me a liar?
Look, if you're so sure that's a forgery, then why haven't you locked me up? Forgery of castle documents is a greater crime than showing up at the doors and asking to be let in. Be quiet. I'll quiet down when you start treating me with respect. Will someone collar this cat already before she breaks something?
The fur on the faunus's ears and tail bristle up, her teeth baring in a snarl.
Touch me and you'll draw away a bloody stump.
A feeling of dread rises in me as one of the guards moves in, a pair of shackles at the ready to cart the faunus away. None of this sits right with me. Wait a minute! I lift my voice for attention, and all activity immediately stops. Just what is going on here? I can't help but notice that these guards are Torchwick people, which is already a strike against them in my eyes.
Your Majesty. Oh, Ruby, thank goodness! These ruffians won't unhand my friend. She's being a disruptive presence. She wasn't being disruptive until you started threatening her.
Enough! He falls silent again. I turned to the faunus woman, trying to remember what Oobleck had called her. Miss Belladonna, was it?
Blake Belladonna.
You and Oobleck work together?
Occasionally. Miss Belladonna lives in the southern forest and deals with entirely different species of Grimm that we've been accustomed to. We compare notes. It's important to share knowledge between neighboring territories, especially now that we've been spotting unusual migration patterns in the hordes. Though I guess it's too much to hope for that some people would understand the importance of our work. You can do your work elsewhere. She still isn't allowed inside the castle grounds. But my tools are here! How am I supposed to study the samples that she brings me without my tools? You're just... Ah! It's okay, Master Oobleck. I'll leave as soon as I have my document back. Roman can explain why his permission slip got branded as a forgery.
You heard the lady. I tilt my head towards Blake meaningfully, keeping my eye on the guard. After a moment of hesitation, the guard returns the note. Blake can't even hide her pleased smile.
Thank you, Your Majesty. Your reputation precedes you.
The guard points at Blake, waving over one of her subordinates.
Just get her out of here.
No need for that. I'll escort her myself. They stand down at my command, and I take Blake by the elbow and lead her back to the courtyard out through the main gates. No one stops us. Oobleck is close on our heels. Some of the fire leaves her once she realizes the fight is over.
I really didn't mean to cause trouble. I know, dear girl. And thank you for stepping in when you did.
She remembers my title and straightens her back, tense again.
Your Majesty.
Just Ruby is fine. She blinks slowly, but otherwise shows no response.
You're very hands-on for a noble, aren't you?
Her yellow gaze falls on my hand on her elbow.
Oh my. There's a little ladybug action going on here.
Her yellow gaze falls on my hand on her elbow. I let her go, feeling the heat rise to my cheeks. I'm sorry I dragged you into this. She pauses. Ruby. It was no problem at all. Master Oobleck is a trusted ally. A friend to him is a friend to me. I'm also interested in the work that you two are doing. We need all the information we can gather on the Grimm.
We certainly do. I need you back whenever you're available, Blake.
I'll return as soon as I can. Maybe after I manage to grab an audience with Ozpin. The mention of Ozpin makes me tilt my head curiously. Any way I can help with that too? If you and Oobleck have important research to share with us, the Summer Rose Court would love to have it. Tense silence stretches between us as we reach the gates. I can feel Blake scrutinizing me, like she's trying to peel me open and look inside. I've been trying to get an audience with Ozpin for years now. But each time we get close, something like this happens. I'm sorry to hear that. Oobleck, couldn't you have passed the message along to Ozpin?
I could have. But this is the first time I've heard of this.
I didn't want to entrench you in my political problems. Well, how about me? I'm pretty entrenched as it is. Tell me what you want.
Why should I?
Now she's testing me. I'm no good with political stuff, but when it's just me and another person, I think I can get my point across well enough. I'd like to hear more from the city faunus. It doesn't seem like they have any representation in the court, and I think that's a shame.
And you assume I'm one of them? I'm from the Southern Forest.
I saw you at the menagerie. At the very least, you know your way around. She doesn't say anything to that. If you don't feel comfortable representing the city faunus, do you know someone who would?
Possibly.
How does tomorrow afternoon sound? Ozpin will be there as well.
How am I supposed to see you when even a legitimate pass gets accused of being a forgery?
I'll make sure that doesn't happen again. If you have an address in a city where you feel more comfortable accepting letters, please pass it along to me through Master Oobleck. I'll send an official summons for you, so we can do this right.
But Torchwick...
Torchwick isn't in charge of my house, and who gets invited inside?
Why are you going out of your way for me like this?
It's the right thing. We need to hear from all voices, all walks of life. Only by working together can we really achieve any kind of harmony.
Did you write that spiel down on your own, or did someone coach you?
All my own. But I had to practice because I get nervous telling people what I really think. Writing it out and thinking about it carefully before I say it means I give all the weight it deserves. Glynda is sharp with me because she knows she can get away with it. But Blake's completely vulnerable here. Yet, she still challenged me. I wonder if she's this fearless with everyone. She didn't even bat an eye at the idea of being imprisoned, or worse. I can't leave the castle grounds without an escort, and so this is where she and I part ways.
You know what? I'm gonna stop this here, because this has been going on for quite some time. According to my recording, this has been a 54-minute and 31-second recording as of right now, and after cutting it out all the bloopers and whatnot, it's probably going to be about 50 to 45 minutes. So I'm going to call it here, and actually I'm kind of excited to see exactly where this is going. So yeah, I will meet with Blake in the next video. Thank you for joining me. This is Darko12, and I shall see you next time.